So now that Pyro is in game and everybody's giving money to CIG because no money till Pyro, um, eyes turn a little bit towards the next star system. Now, with the delivery of Pyro, it's a little mixed as to whether or not excitement for Nyx is genuine because it's a new system or just because it's another space. Pyro was meant to be something more significant than it is. And interestingly, it's not because of the Pyro edition that it's falling short. I think it's because of the other systems. Reputation really holds back what's supposed to make Pyro special, but it is still a different system. The law situation is different. The distances you're traveling are different. There are different minerals and minables there. You get different sort of salvage possibilities. Even the security contracts are actually, they get a lot more exciting in Pyro. Now it's like we're not playing Star Citizen right now as we're supposed to. It's going to be a lot different in the future. The difference between Pyro and Stanton. They're very not opposite, but they are very different. And as security and player bounties and reputation and the gangs actually enforcing their own rules starts to be a thing in Pyro, that'll be more noticeable. But now people are interested in learning more about Nyx. Nyx is the third star system, a large star system, unaffiliated, just like Pyro, but not as gang-controlled as Pyro. It's actually controlled mainly by a group of, you could almost call them separatists, splinter faction from the days of the Messer regime, the dictators. These are people who went and found a star system that was relatively untouched and created their own pseudo-government there. Current day, they still exist there, but it is fairly broken up and rammed, just thrown together. So a lot of opportunity for us to learn and earn with a new faction. It's an unaffiliated space, so you're not dealing with UEE stuff. It should offer more a different kind of vibe than the first two systems. If reputation and security can get in, if the factions are in, and as we've heard, if the Vandal raiding parties that they have planned for this system are actually a real thing or a possibility. Here I'm going to show you the first look at Nyx we ever got. This is 2015. This is the original concept, which they did move away from. But we'll see how the new concept is kind of moving back towards this. That was a really early look at it, but you get a kind of an idea of what it looks like. From there, let me show you what it looked like. All right, gonna look at Greyhound's video here real quick. And you get an idea of what it looks like. There aren't as many big asteroids in the sky around. You'd see one in the distance there, but like it was a lot more simplified when they put it in game, right? In 3.0. So just to confirm everybody, this is from the Nyx system. This is the main landing zone in that system. So there's a look at kind of how it ended up looking from this first version to actually getting in game. Then we also do have a quick preview here of work that was being done on Nyx. Okay, if I can find it. They did some work on Nyx early on, and they showed us some of that work. Yeah, so here we go. This is just some early looks at what they were doing to design the Nyx planets. And this is 4 years ago. The planet team got into Nyx and did their work, and I'm sure really their main thing now is getting it updated to match the rest of Planet Tech V5 when that does come around. So you can see most of this is just color changes, height maps, geological scaling, and they showed a lot of it. These were more interesting pictures because back then we didn't have large scale shadows, so this looked really cool with the mountains, but this is the work they were doing at that time. We didn't hear too much about it after that. The Planet Tech team did confirm that they had gotten most of their work done with it, but we don't know much about anything else of it. So here was the introduction they had. They reintroduced it. So it was in the game, and then they took out Delamar and Levski back in 2020 when they brought in Microtech. And this was how they reintroduced it at CitizenCon last year. So first look at Nyx, and then here's another look. This is all just to kind of compare to that original view we got, because this view I think gives a lot more of that asteroids in the air, like you're in an asteroid belt kind of feeling. Whereas something like this really shows just when they first got it in how much it was just enough to make it feel like that still, but you didn't have the scale or anything there. So seeing these videos I think is a welcome return to what made Nyx look really special. So mainly what this place is this is a gigantic asteroid with a huge borehole drilled through it. Goes all the way through. Used to be for mining. You got hangars where you can land around the outside of that borehole. You also have this landing center over here with pads on the top and hangars that you can go inside of. So it's a large area. Also some hangars over here you can see. And the truly some of the more interesting bits of this is that it is a landing zone. So it has the capacity of a city, but it also has docking ports for large ships to be able to come and sit around. It's a zero-G environment, so unlike any other landing zone we go to, you can just hop off the ground and start flying away. I know this is gonna make for some cool racing opportunities, but maybe also some chances for contracts and stuff around the landing zone. And then finally, one of the last major benefits of this place is that borehole nature, and once again, benefiting from the zero G nature of the location, or low G. So this will be the first landing zone, I think, besides Orison. Since Orison has its low orbit platforms, it might be different, but this is the first landing zone that will allow for freight elevators to be used. So if you got these big ships that can't actually land on planets like ArcCorp or Hurston, this is the kind of place where you can land, and like you're not limited by gravity. You don't have to deal with the cost of getting out of the gravity well or anything like that. And you can load and offload your stuff. So that higher capacity plus the low gravity nature of Levski could make this a really interesting and important place for people to go for different types of work. And they spent a lot of time talking about this at CitizenCon. I mean, this is
some of the exterior updates.
I think they spent a lot of time talking about this because we already know so much about it. We already played this. Not a lot of the additions they've made so far, but the general location. Not all this, not all that. Mostly just this interior space. So it is like a lot of people do think, because of the way that the development of this has been progressing. It's been in the works for a few years. We already had the main landing zone, and clearly even the new updated areas, the work in progress areas, are gray box. Now, we've also seen on the monthly reports that they have mentioned updating Levski's interior and locations alongside with the other ones in the game. So they've been working on this, and it's making good progress. Doesn't mean it's coming this year though. And I'm not blowing any whistles or anything, but if they haven't talked about Levski at all just yet, and we haven't heard anything about Planet Tech, I do think it is reasonable to start expecting that this might be a next year edition, which would be disappointing for me as well. It would suck, but that might just be the way it is. I don't know. Hopefully we hear more about this soon. They don't really have much reason to bring it out at this point. The people who are working on this system are still trying to make Pyro work better. You know, this is like making sure the factions are offering missions, and there are mission givers and specific locations to go to. All of that is pretty important. And they do have a lot of assets like colonialism assets and stuff built out, which is part of what slowed down Pyro. But I do think that it's the factions and that stuff that really makes these star systems take longer. That being said, I don't think this will be like Pyro. I don't think we're going to be waiting for this for a long time. It's possible this might not be this year. Just looking at the connections, you can see that Nyx, actually, you have to go through Pyro to get there. So reasons to have people move from Stanton to Nyx will be very important. And then Pyro acts as the dangerous go-between that you'll have to logistically figure out for yourself. That is until Castra enters the game. At which point we can go from... Oh, nope, sorry, Castra's not... Nope, so Castra will be far away. Guess you can go through Pyro to get to Castra. And then Terra, also connected to Pyro. You'll see that it has 3 planets. Nyx 1, Nyx 2, and Nyx 3. And then it also has this this gigantic asteroid here in the belt. That is your landing zone. That's what we were just looking at. That was Delamar with Levski attached. A moon-sized asteroid hidden deep within the asteroid belt. Political radicals and criminals now occupied a deserted mining facility built inside the asteroid. In an effort to keep out potential criminal elements, visitors are strictly forbidden from entering its residential areas. That will be fleshed out a lot. Then there are the 3 planets. Nix 1, pretty hostile. Nix 2, in the green zone. So we'll see what they do with that. And then Nix 3 is way out here. But even if they're not supporting life, these still will have points of interest on them. Wrecks, derelicts, relics, probably some trading depots and stuff, and things to find. All that takes time though. And considering we aren't seeing anything surrounding Nix just yet, I would be hesitant. They might be keeping it close to the chest. It might be all things that they want to show at CitizenCon and they're just holding back. You know that CIG likes to do that. So we'll see what it is, but I would just have some cautious optimism about this star system. And there's your Nix update.